Am I the jerk for not letting my girlfriend move in after I found out she lied about being evicted? I never thought I'd be in this position, but here I am, questioning if I made the right call. My girlfriend Sarah and I have been dating for about a year now. We're both 28, have decent jobs, and until recently I thought we had an honest relationship. We've talked about moving in together eventually, but agreed to wait until we hit the 2-year mark to make sure we're compatible for the long haul. Everything changed last week when Sarah called me in tears saying her landlord was evicting her and she had nowhere to go. According to her, the landlord was being completely unfair and had given her just 2 weeks to vacate the apartment she's lived in for 3 years. She claimed he was kicking her out because he wanted to renovate the unit and charge higher rent to a new tenant. Sarah told me the landlord had found some minor lease violations to use as an excuse, like having a small fish tank when pets weren't allowed and being a little noisy sometimes. She said he was just looking for reasons to get rid of her so he could make more money. She was absolutely distraught, saying this came completely out of the blue and she had no time to find a new place with her credit and income. Naturally, I was concerned and upset for her. While we weren't planning to live together so soon, this seemed like an emergency situation. I told her she could stay with me temporarily while figuring out her next steps. She was extremely grateful and relieved, saying I was saving her from being homeless. I offered to help her pack that weekend and speak to her landlord to see if we could get an extension on the move-out timeline. That's when things got weird. Sarah suddenly became evasive, saying I didn't need to talk to the landlord because he was unreasonable and it would just make things worse. She also said she could handle the packing herself and would just show up with her things the following Friday. Something about her reaction felt off. So while Sarah was at work the next day, I decided to visit her apartment building. I thought maybe I could reason with the landlord myself, or at least understand the situation better. When I got there, I introduced myself to the property manager and mentioned I was helping Sarah with her unexpected eviction. The property manager looked confused. He pulled up Sarah's tenant information on his computer and then showed me something that made my stomach drop. Sarah hadn't paid her rent in 4 months. The property management company had sent multiple warnings, worked out 2 different payment plans that she didn't follow through on, and finally had to start formal eviction proceedings over a month ago. This wasn't a sudden or unfair eviction at all. What's worse, the manager mentioned that Sarah had done this before. About 2 years ago, she had fallen behind on rent, made promises to catch up but never did. That time they had worked with her because she claimed to have medical issues causing financial hardship. This time they couldn't justify continuing to let it slide. I was completely shocked. Sarah had never mentioned any financial problems to me. She always paid her share when we went out to dinner, bought new clothes regularly, and even took a weekend trip to a music festival just last month. I knew she didn't make as much as I did, but she always seemed to be doing fine financially. When I confronted Sarah that evening, she initially tried to maintain her story about the unfair landlord. When I told her I'd spoken directly with the property manager, she broke down crying and admitted everything. She said she'd been struggling with money management for years, but was too embarrassed to tell me. She claimed she had used her rent money for other expenses, thinking she would figure it out later, but things just snowballed. I asked why she hadn't just been honest with me if she needed help. We could have worked something out that didn't involve lying. She said she was afraid I would think less of her or break up with her if I knew she was bad with money. She begged for understanding, saying this whole experience was a wake-up call and she would get financial counseling and work on becoming more responsible. Despite her tears and promises, I told Sarah I couldn't let her move in with me anymore. The issue wasn't just the money problems, which would be concerning enough, but the elaborate lies she had created and maintained. She had looked me in the eye and made up an entire false narrative about an unfair landlord, complete with specific, fictional details. If she could lie so convincingly about this, what else might she be dishonest about? Sarah became angry, saying I was abandoning her when she needed me most. She accused me of only wanting to be with her when things were easy and fun. She said if I really loved her, I would help her through this difficult time instead of punishing her for making mistakes. I told her I would help her find a new place and even loan her money for a security deposit, but I wasn't comfortable living together after discovering this level of dishonesty. She refused my offer, saying it was all or nothing. Either I let her move in, or I clearly didn't care about her at all. Since then, her friends have been blowing up my phone, saying I'm heartless for letting my girlfriend become homeless over one mistake. They claim everyone deserves a second chance and that I'm being cruel by withdrawing my offer of housing during her time of need. One friend even suggested I was using this situation to break up with Sarah because I never really loved her. The truth is, I do care about Sarah, and I feel terrible about her situation, but I also believe that moving someone into your home requires a huge amount of trust, and that trust has been seriously damaged. I'm not sure our relationship can recover from this, let alone jump ahead to living together. My own friends are split on the issue. Some think I'm making the right call by protecting myself from someone who has shown such concerning behavior. Others think I'm being too harsh and that people deserve forgiveness when they make mistakes, especially if they're willing to work on the underlying issues. I keep wondering if I'm overreacting. Maybe I should give her another chance. Maybe financial problems and the shame that comes with them can drive people to lie in ways they normally wouldn't. But then I remember how convincing her fake story was, how she only came clean when cornered, and I worry about what living together would actually be like. She's currently staying with one of the friends who's been messaging me, and I've heard they're all reinforcing the idea that I'm the villain in this situation. It's making me question my judgment and wonder if I really am being unnecessarily cruel. So am I the jerk for not letting my girlfriend move in after discovering she lied about her eviction circumstances? Should I have been more forgiving since she's going through a difficult time, even if that difficulty is largely of her own making? Or am I right to maintain my boundaries despite the pressure from her and her friends?